My name is Benton Stokes. I'm a former fundamentalist, post-evangelical worship leader, and songwriter. I enjoy wry Manhattans, roller coasters, and road trips, just not all at the same time.
I'm Elaine O'Rourke, and I'm a teacher, an author, and a spiritual coach. I was a philosophy professor and a liberal pastor in a couple of former lives, and these days I love aha moments and not-so-dry martinis.
We have conversations about life and God with a queer perspective, over cocktails, like you. This is Cocktail Theology. Today we are drinking Rum Swizzles.
Yeah, so I have something to say about this.
Okay.
So we found the recipe, and I went ahead and I made it. And it calls for a demerara syrup, in this case I used brown sugar, and an aged Caribbean rum, and we used seal. And then it calls for lime juice and lemon juice and velvet falernum. And I feel like there was something else. You're supposed to garnish it with mint, garnish it with an orange slice. We didn't have an orange slice. I added a little orange bitters. But here's what I want to talk about this.
Okay.
I'm reading the instructions for this and I'm putting it together and it's all fine. And then I get to how you're supposed to put it together. So you're supposed to use a Collins glass, which I did.
Yes.
I just wanted to be noted
Yeah.
that I did that.
Yeah, you did.
And then you're supposed to use crushed ice.
We don't have crushed ice.
We don't, but I found like the
The crumbs.
the crumbly bits that we wind up having in our ice bin. I mean, they're not gross, people. You just need to understand, but they break down because of the way we do our ice.
Right.
Anyway, so I did that, and then it says swizzle. And I'm like,
What is swizzle?
thank you! I know what a swizzle stick is, which got me waxing rhapsodic about how a swizzle stick came to be named, which anyway. But you're supposed to just basically stir it with a swizzle stick.
Okay.
Which is like stirring with ice, shaken, stirred, etc. Okay? But it's supposed to be crushed ice. So basically what you're trying to do is rather than shaking it, etc., you're watering it down by stirring with crushed ice.
Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
But I admit that I got to that instruction went, you've got to be kidding me. So it's garnished with mint. Yeah. The instructions, I followed the instructions, but I gave it a straw because, first of all, lots of ice in a Collins glass with mint. It's like a mess waiting to happen.
It is.
So, but I haven't tasted it.
Okay.
So there we are.
Let's go.
Not bad.
I like it. So what does falernum add exactly? Do you know?
I've read up on falernum, and honestly, I don't have a clear picture.
I know it shows up in a number of tiki drinks.
I think it has an orgeat thing, but I'm
Maybe.
not. You now know everything I know about velvet falernum, except it's got a really cool name. It sounds like a smoking jacket or something,
Does.
Or like you're reading a mystery, and suddenly it comes along, and it's like, and then the velvet falernum showed up. Right?
Right.
I mean, and the good part about stuff like that, like I kind of appreciate the name of it, and we should look it up because it's really sort of unfair to our listeners to bring this up and then not actually talk about it.
That's true.
But what I love about the name Velvet Falernum is the fact it makes me think of a mystery book.
Oh, I like that.
It makes me think of the kind of novels and such that I like to read. Now, I'm not a mystery person. It needs to be said. I would be lying if I said I'm a mystery person. But it makes me think of that kind of not quite escapism. Like, what was the name of that TV show we watched where it's a woman detective investigating something at the White House?
Yeah, it's The Residence.
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun show.
It was really fun. And it's not the kind of thing I normally watch, although I have to admit that I do watch Only Murders in the Building.
Only Murders in the Building is fun, too.
Although we've got a little problem with the owners of Only Murders, but that's a whole different thing. But as a result, like the name Velvet Falernum, it's kind of like Scarlet Pimpernel, right? Like it has this literature sort of feeling to it.
It really does.
And frankly, I've been enjoying literature lately.
Well, what have you been enjoying?
So I read this thing that says that, and I've read multiple studies on this, so it's not just one thing. I have read multiple studies that say that reading fiction as opposed to reading nonfiction as you get older is better for your cognition.
That is so interesting.
And it's because it takes more work to hold to a thread of a story with which you are unfamiliar that has to create an entire world as opposed to reading nonfiction, which doesn't have to do that. It just takes more of your brain.
It just takes more, yeah.
Right. So I've been working at reading fiction because for so many years I didn't read fiction. But I've been exploring more fiction, and I hadn't realized it until I was starting to think about this recently, that I've mostly, all the fiction, I think this is true. Let me go back and look at my list, but I think all the fiction I've read this year has been written by women, which is not usual for me. And so I'm kind of fascinated by that. So I have been reading Amy Bloom. I've read 2 books of hers.
Yeah.
And she writes queer characters really well. I was really surprised to find out she at least does not say she's queer. She's in a heterosexual marriage and so forth. But she writes really good queer characters.
That's great.
I've been reading Ann Tyler, whom I thought I had read all of her books. I was wrong.
She's written even more.
She's written even more. She's very prolific. But she's the one who wrote The Reluctant Traveler, I think is the name of it.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. They all take place in Baltimore.
Okay.
I can't help you with that. But they're always about these kind of misfit but very loving people. And then I've been rereading Iris Murdoch, who used to be one of my very, very favorite writers. She was a professional philosopher and also wrote. So, it's a lot words.
Yeah.
So I've been reading her. And then really the only nonfiction I've been reading is John Birdsall's book.
Yes.
Which, of course, I love John, love his writing. And I've been reading his Substack. And so so if you're thinking about stuff that like comes through different ways, I've been doing a lot of reading that way. The real connection is that I've been reading Substacks and books and articles and stories about people who are basically loving.
Sure, yeah.
And I hadn't thought about it until I started thinking about it. I was like, dang, I think my favorite, or at least one of my favorite authors of all time is J.D. Salinger. I don't love Catcher in the Rye. It's fine. I don't care. But I love Franny and Zoe because these are weird, quirky characters. He gets into theology. God love him. But they love each other. And I think I'm starved for music and literature and poetry that is centered on people who love.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm watching Kim's Convenience.
Love Kim's Convenience.
Right?
It's so great.
It's a Canadian sitcom about an immigrant Korean family and all of the people they interact with. But basically they all love each other. And I think that's the thing that's really drawing me these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanna be paying attention to people who actually love. I'm so tired of people talking love and being horrible and hateful.
Right. Me too. No, that makes a whole lot of sense. I think I've been kind of craving that too. I think I used to enjoy sort of dystopian, like there was a series called The Leftovers that I really enjoyed, and for a little bit I liked The Handmaid's Tale. Like that kind of stuff drew me for a time, but there's no way I could watch any of that right now. No. There is no way. It's like reality is darker than that, so I just can't even go there. Yeah. Yeah. But I too have sort of been drawn to positive characters and stuff that's really kind of escapist. There's an author that I discovered this year, Matt Haig.
Oh, yeah.
And I've read 3 of his books.
Okay.
One of his books, How to Stop Time, is going to be made into a movie with Benedict Cumberbatch.
The most English name ever.
I know, yes.
That's what my daughter always says. Like, he couldn't be anything but English with a name like Benedict Cumberbatch.
It's like he should have a cat named Velvet Falernum.
Let's write him a fan letter and say you really need a cat named Velvet Falernum. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you in the middle of Matt Haig. Go.
Matt is he's just a really lovely style of writing. I really enjoyed his book, The Midnight Library, which I think you read that one too.
I did read it.
I highly recommend. He's also got a book that is just sort of like observations. It's called The Comfort Book. Huh. And he's very transparent about having spent time in a psych ward on a couple of different times. And the comfort book kind of came out of one of those times where he just really was able to sort of slow way down, really make observations about himself and about the world around him. And like when he was no longer just sort of overwhelmed by all the distractions, he was able to just like really focus down and write these things down.
It's interesting that you bring that up. Michelle Voss is a young woman, a mountain climber and rock climber type person. There's a movie, an independent film that just came out about really her time of needing psychiatric help, inpatient psychiatric help, coming out of that, finding where climbing provided the right kind of pain and struggle to help her climb out of that. And literally, and I've just been really thoughtful about her journey and about where she's going with that. So, I've been following her and just kind of paying attention to that. But I think that you're on to something there. There's something about sitting still with who you are, forced or not, but actually using that time to grapple and to come out of. And I'm thinking about, like, at least the authors that I just mentioned, most of them have that texture to their writing. Like, it's not just, here we are on the top. There's something deep.
Yes.
Where that feels like they have had to work through.
Right.
And there's something, again, about that working through and coming into loving.
Right.
That is just really touching me right now.
Yeah. I totally get that. In kind of a different direction, I read a really awesome book by an author, Ocean Vuong. And this is just his second novel. His first novel was called On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which I haven't read yet, but I want to. He is a Vietnamese-American writer, poet. Yep. The main character in the book that I read, which is The Emperor of Gladness, is also Vietnamese-American. A lot of it is at least the thrust of The Emperor of Gladness is very much about found family. And Ocean himself is a queer writer and really weaves queerness into the story in a way that is so delicate you don't notice it. Like, you notice it, but it never screams at you.
Right.
It's just sort of a texture.
Yes.
And it's a very minor texture at that, but it gives you a certain amount of depth to the main character that would otherwise be missing. Right. And it doesn't even come up until like 2/3 of the way through the book.
Right.
Anyway, highly recommend Ocean Vuong, The Emperor of Gladness. And it's not a happy, smiley novel. However, it leaves you with a very kind of... It left me with kind of a... how do I describe this? It's not really like a happy, smiley kind of novel, but the ending was... Everything resolves in a way that just is very... the way that you would want it to, even though it's not easy or necessarily happy. Yes. But it is the right ending. Yes. The resolutions are the right resolutions. And the things that don't get resolved don't actually matter in the end. Wow. Which is just really lovely.
Wow. As you're talking about the nature of dramatic resolution in a book, it actually makes me think of resolution in music.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the idea of a resolved chord, as I understand it, is it goes from minor to major, right? But for me, music is often more resolved when it doesn't do that, right? Depending upon kind of how I don't know how to put it, but like the musical story goes, I don't necessarily want it to end on a major chord. I want it to feel like that last bit sums up and encapsulates the whole rest of it, Yeah. And I think there's something about visual art or poetry or music or writing that when you get to the end, it's like you're holding this tiny piece that holds the whole, like a fractal, right? Yeah. It's like the whole thing is in it. Yeah. There's something about that that's so important. It's like when I think about poets I've really loved, and the obvious one who comes to mind because she's become so incredibly famous over the last 20 or 30 years, Mary Oliver. You know, you get to the end of some of her poems and it's just like that last line, it takes the whole thing and puts it into a couple of words, right?
Yeah.
Like really good haiku or like really good Sufi poets, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's that same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
What else has been giving you comfort and enjoyment these days?
Well, you know, I haven't consumed maybe as much media this year as I have in some years past. Like, we devoured Schitt's Creek, we devoured Ted Lasso. I mean, just really, Ted Lasso was like a life raft.
So many times, I gotta say.
During the pandemic. Just so good. The show that we watched this year was The Bear. I think over the, 4 seasons maybe at this point, that we've watched these characters, it's just like you start to cheer for them and you start to really hope good things for them. Yes. The Studio is another one that I've really enjoyed that it kind of has a little bit of that awkward, like a lot of awkward tension, but super fun to watch. Like, again, sort of silly and a little bit escapist, but also a little bit of commentary in there, I think. So
for me, I mean, I love The Bear, and the thing that's weird about watching The Bear for me is I have dated like all those characters.
All of them.
Like almost all of them. I could look at them and go, oh yeah, that was Misty and 20 whatever. It's like it's so weird to watch it, because I was around food and creativity and that kind of stuff for so long, but also just that kind of like troubled, angsty, pursuing my passion, doesn't make money. Oh my God, my family's dying. Like literally.
Right.
So watching The Bear for me always has a little bit of that. And it's like the fact that they classify it as a comedy all the time, just like that cracks me up. It's not a comedy.
It's not.
Anyway,
it's really not.
But the thing that's funny about The Studio for me is, yes, it has that awkwardness. But for me, the cringe factor is so huge.
It is.
That I don't care about the people as much.
Right. I don't either.
Right. But isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Again. And I think in this season, not the TV season, but in this time of the world, I want to care about the people. I don't want to watch anything or read anything or frankly listen to any music where I don't care about the people.
Yeah.
Now,
I get that.
That said, there are times when my kid puts on 9 Inch Nails in the car, which I introduced her to. Thank you very much. Where that's what I want to hear. I want to hear that anger. I want to hear that resentment. I want to hear that because that's the other piece of what I'm feeling right now, right?
Right.
Is, I think about CCM artists who are basically betraying Jesus, right? Like it makes me... It doesn't make me sad. It just makes me angry.
It makes me angry.
So there's part of me that wants that, but that's not... I don't want a steady diet of that.
No.
Because it's just too painful.
It's just too much. Right. The artist that I'm really enjoying right now is Olivia Dean.
Okay.
And honestly, she's blowing up everywhere. I didn't know she was blowing up everywhere until I was told. I was like, wait, but everybody knows about her? No. Oh my gosh. Number one, it's refreshing to listen to a incredibly talented and skilled singer who also has a hand in writing her music, production that is exactly right, not too much, not too little, featuring things like horn sections. Again, there's like a neo-soul thing about it.
Oh, neo-soul. Okay.
But it also, who she reminds me of is Corinne Bailey Rae. Girl, Put Your Records On.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Okay.
Understated.
Okay.
And no profanity anywhere. Now, I am not a prude about profanity. I'm not. But I am so sick to death with the F-bomb being a requisite for a pop hit. I can't even tell you how sick I am of that. And so to hear her singing smart lyrics, beautiful melodies, exquisitely, and you don't need these devices like gimmicky production or F-bombs or anything else people are already talking record of the year, and her record's only been out like 2 weeks.
Wow.
She's incredible. Olivia Dean, go listen. Also, we've appreciated Wells. So Wells is like a modern day Arlo Guthrie type. He's a little ginger guy with a guitar, and he writes really smart political commentary in his songs. He just like swept the Americana Awards recently.
Yep.
His stuff is funny and poignant and honest.
Yes.
And so I highly recommend listening to Wells. Even if folk music is not your thing, I think you'll get a kick out of what he's doing.
Yep.
And some of his stuff is really pointed.
Yep.
But there's always some humor in there, which is nice, and it's so smart.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as music goes, you know, besides your latest album, and and you can do that, but one of the things I love about your latest album is it has some of that. It had to go deep, had to like spend some time with, like, it's pop, but it's not fluffy, which I really appreciate. So besides that, I came across accidentally, I don't know how this came through my Instagram feed, but there's an artist who goes by Milk, M-I-L-C-K.
Okay.
Her actual name is Connie Kimberly Lim, and she did a song with the lead in this particular song was Ray Zaragoza, and both of them have actually made quite a bit of dent in the music world in their field. But they did a song called Sisters of Winter that cannot recommend enough. It's not even a protest song. I wouldn't even know what to call it, but let's call it a protest song. It's in that model of just women singing about strength and about moving forward, and it's very chanty. Ooh. And like when they sing it or other people singing it, there's this beat and they're singing along with it, and it just, I keep coming back to those kinds of songs.
That's really cool. I want to hear that one.
Yeah, but they remind me of like Sweet Honey in the Rock. They remind me of some of the stuff that was coming out the last time that the world felt like it was completely falling apart.
Right.
And I keep coming back to that. There is an undercurrent of strength and humanity coupled with divinity that is absolutely critical these days. And that's what I want. I just want to keep tying into that.
Right. Yeah. During COVID, it was interesting because Billboard did a study on tempos. Now, some of these songs were already like recorded, you know, before we got into lockdown. Dua Lipa's album was just like a life raft for me during COVID. And honestly, it was just this full tilt dance album with like disco element. Like it was just so like could not care less, you know? And it was exactly what I think we needed.
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of artists that hesitated to put out music right then because they were like, I don't know what's happening. But she didn't hesitate. Lady Gaga also put out a lot of music during that time. But what Billboard did was they studied tempos, and tempos like increased dramatically going into COVID, and throughout that time said that tempos, like they charted, I'm not going to get the stats right, but they charted like what the tempos had been on like the top hits of each year. By the time we got to 2020, they were up to like 120 beats a minute, where only like 5 or 6 years before they were topping out at like 100 beats a minute.
Right.
So, I mean, people were hungry for energetic, upbeat, feel good, you know? And I feel like going into the season that we're in now, I think the art that's being created right now is going to be amazing, because so many creatives, when things get dark, they get really either inspired or there's an urgency to create. I think maybe that's more of it.
Yeah.
There's an urgency to create and in response to what's happening.
Right.
And so I really am anticipating that there will be just this surge of creativity, art and music and books and all kinds of things that will come out of the season that we're in that will just be really exciting.
Yep. No, 100%. 100%. And that beat thing is interesting, right? Because what I'm noticing for myself is I want music to be slower. I want it to feel intentional. I'm listening more to Joni Mitchell. I love Joni Mitchell. Not all of Joni Mitchell, much of Joni Mitchell. But going back to Wells, going to Milk, there's an intentionality to it that I really appreciate.
I like that too.
But thinking about books, thinking about creativity, stuff that's coming out. Austin Channing Brown has a new book out that's getting great reviews. And the other thing that I've noticed is that every thoughtful Black commentator who's coming through Instagram, I'm like signing up for them. I want to hear what's going on outside of my own little world.
Absolutely,
right? Same thing with indigenous folks in different places. I want to hear and feel what's going on for other people, like that grounding. It's just kind of fascinating to watch.
I get that. We could talk about this all night.
Yeah, we could.
Listeners, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes,
Where
please.
are you finding inspiration and joy in media? Whether it's the books you're reading, the movies you're going to, the music you're listening to. We love recommendations. We love hearing from you guys. Give us ideas for conversations, also cocktails. Let us know what you'd like us to try, or maybe a spirit that we haven't even tried.
But seriously, if it says swizzle in it, just like write me a little note that just says what you mean by swizzle, because I am mystified how this isn't just a fast stir. But what do I know?
I don't know anyway.
I don't know either. But I'm going to go back to it.
All right. CocktailTheology.com is where we are. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Funny how the view can change, how life just seems to rearrange itself, no matter what it was. I don't know how it goes, but look, moving on feels pretty good. Moving on feels pretty good.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We welcome your comments, questions, and ideas for conversations and for cocktails. Please get in touch with us at our website, CocktailTheology.com. Cocktail Theology is a production of SFS. Our theme song is Moving On Feels Pretty Good, recorded by yours truly, Benton Stokes. You can find my music wherever you stream your favorite artists. Join us next Thursday for another new episode.